Do you guys think Michigan is able to compete at the highest level from an NIL standpoint? Are they cream of the crop, blue blood, top tier NIL now, or are they still lagging behind like a lot of us were complaining about several months ago?
I can answer that in two parts. One, right now, not at all. If you're a fan of Michigan football, you need Blake Corum to get paid, and you need that to be broadcast everywhere. The model that they're using as of this moment, Monday evening, is they're saying come to Michigan and you do well in the field and we'll get you paid. And so they need to have that proof in the pudding to say, yeah, Blake Corum came here, he's produced, and now he's making all this money. Hunter Dickinson came here, made all this money. J.J. McCarthy's making all this money. They need to have these case studies and examples to show to recruits, like, we're not just saying it. It's not just a saying, hey, come here and we'll get you paid. We may not pay you up front. Harbaugh's been pretty vocal about, we don't want to just give you a bag of money just to sign your name on the line, and who knows what kind of production you're going to have here. So that's part one. Part two, they're working really, really hard. I know a couple of different guys, a couple of guys who blew by 90, but are working on a couple of the NIL initiatives, and they're working on some really aggressive strategies that could put them up front. One of the NIL initiatives that I think is super close. It's been teased to be done, but it's similar to what Oklahoma rolled out a couple of years ago, and that's a base salary for every scholarship player on the team. So if you're a scholarship, we're going to pay you a base salary, and the numbers I've heard have been better than some kids get coming out of college to start just to be on the team, and then they don't put a limit or cap on what you can make if you're a Blake Corum or J.J. McCarthy or whomever, but not there yet, and I don't know the way that they've operated for the last 50 years, or not that any of us have followed them for that long, but that they'll ever be that one that's just going to put the big bag of money just to sign the dotted line. But they can certainly make themselves competitive and then add in all the other benefits that Michigan's always had, and I think they can level the field. But I think as it stands right now, there's still a pretty good gap between them and some of the southern schools that are just paying kids to come.
Yeah, Matt, do you kind of agree with Brian there?
Yeah, I would say it's getting better. It's come miles from where it was 365 days ago. So I will say that. Is it on the level of, say, like Florida or any of these SEC schools or big name Southern schools, really, for that matter? No, it's not. It's not even close. But, I think that there is a lot of encouragement there. Valiant Management Group, they've been a big one to step up in a huge way. Really, they're responsible in large part for salvaging Michigan's NIL situation this year. But they've been a big player. I know Jim Harbaugh's been doing what he can. I know that there's some gears turning and things in the works, but getting better. No, not where you'd like to see it exactly from a fan perspective or follower of the program, but I think by next year, maybe maybe a little bit after that, you'll start to really see it start to pick up a little bit. But I'm really not a huge I really don't have a huge argument, honestly, about the way that it's worked up to this point. You obviously, I agree with Brian 100%. You want people to know that Blake Corum is getting paid. And you want everyone that's making an impact on that football team to be getting paid. I don't necessarily agree to the fact that everyone on the team should be on a payroll. I really kind of am in agreement with how they've run it up to this point to a level, but it does need to get considerably better in areas of paying your highest performing guys and things like that before it can even be considered close to one of the most efficient NIL practices in the country.
Mm-hmm. And here's how I see it.
One thing is, I think, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead, Brian.
I think, there's some position, you look at the recruiting board and you look at recruiting and you see positions like the offensive line that were in really good shape, running back that were in really good shape, and you see the success and track record. There's not many programs that that have the elite edge NFL production, guys going to the league and getting paid, that Michigan has. And you look at their recruiting board at the edge position the last couple of cycles and you think, why is it not better? Well, the edges are commanded. The cost to get an edge to even come to campus now. A lot of NIL money is being thrown there because they're such difference makers at the college level, and so they've had a lot of guys really interested in coming and very interested in the track record and the success and the coaching staff that we have. And then it gets time to get on the plane and say, okay, for me to come, I'm going to need X. And Michigan said no. And so there's been a few guys that, if you follow it closely, there's some big name guys that we look like there was full steam ahead, and then all of a sudden they're not on campus. And so, there's still part of that that's going to hold them back. And, Matt, to your point, I don't really object to it that much, because as much as I'd like to do it and excel in every area of the program, I just don't know that you want to pay some high school kid just to make the trip, cut him a check.
I'll tell you what I look at too. And I look at Michigan's success in the portal and guys that they've got leaving in the portal, which is really next to nothing, so there are certain aspects of the way that Michigan is running this NIL initiative that they have right now that is successful in ways that people really aren't seeing, which is that you're getting loyal guys in the door that are developing, and God knows that Michigan is good at developing some motherfuckers. Pardon my French, but they're doing a hell of a job getting these guys in the door, developing them. And I'm not really sold on the fact that you need to pay these guys the farm just to come to campus, when the guys that are interested in that type of thing are the first guys to transfer whenever the season doesn't go the way that they like it. And, that's kind of a cop out to the question a little bit, like a little bit of Michigan biased there. But, I'm in agreement a little bit with how they've been running it. Should it get better? Yes. Is it all right with how it's going right now? Also, yes, to an extent.
Yeah,
sorry. But
no, I was just gonna say I couldn't agree with both of you more. Right, the product on the field so far for Michigan, which is the most important thing at the end of the day, is looking pretty damn good. And I think that we have a formula to keep it looking pretty damn good. Right, have a good recruiting class, have a guy like Ben Herbert and a strong coaching staff, develop these guys that are committed to Michigan, like actually committed to Michigan. And I think one of the best things that happened for the Michigan approach were these teams like Texas A&M, who, year one were just paying dudes to show up, got the number one recruiting class, and then they didn't win anything and they all left. And that de-incentivizes the schools to do that. And it also de-incentivizes the players to become a part of that. And I'm going to get myself in trouble here because I'm married into an Aggie family. So now I'm going to hear from them if they listen to this. But yeah, I mean, it can be tough when guys are just like, here's $750,000 up front to play. But the type of athlete that Michigan may target anyway, because they're such an academically strong program, is going to think these things through. Well, who's the most watched team? Typically, it's Michigan. Who's got the largest, alumni base? Michigan is up there in the top tier. Who's developing into NFL talent? Michigan is way up there. Who sells the most merchandise, right? That's really relevant for NIL. Well, typically Michigan's right near the top. And so it's a little bit more of an equation, and it takes a little bit of patience for these guys to see the payoff. And that's why Blake Corum is such an important piece of the puzzle. JJ McCarthy is such an important piece of the puzzle, because if we can see what they're getting paid and they didn't get money up front, then other athletes can see a path towards getting a little bit of money.